What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your $1,400 third stimulus check update and stimulus package update as they're gearing up for the final details and to pass the bill in the U.S. House of Representatives. I'm going to give you the latest details of that as well as the fight for the minimum wage increase to $10 to $15 an hour now that is in the third stimulus check package, at least at the moment. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on updates on the third stimulus check package, as well as the other things we cover on this channel, such as $10,000 of student loan forgiveness, which President Biden says he is in favor of, $200 per month Social Security increase, also coming from JoeBiden.com, as well as mortgage and rental assistance, property tax assistance, utility assistance, and more, as well as the next stimulus package coming out called the Build Back Better package that has already been announced. Also, don't forget to hit the like button for us. It really helps out our channel. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell spoke at length over the course of the last 2 days on the stimulus, the economy, and the recovery, and makes it very clear that he has sided, at least with the Democrats, over the third stimulus check package, that we need this third stimulus check package and it needs to be big and bold to help our economy recover, and notes that we do not want to repeat the 2008-2009 recession that took over 4 years to get employment back to normal because of what he says, well, stimulus was not enough back in 2008 and 2009. Jerome Powell says, quote, "While we should not underestimate the challenges we currently face, developments point to an improved outlook for later this year. Economic recovery remains uneven and far from complete, and the path ahead is highly uncertain." Jerome Powell also said that he and the bank, the Federal Reserve, is open to seeing inflation run slightly above its 2% target for a period of time. We're actually below 2% inflation at the moment, at least according to the Fed. He also says, quote, "I really do not expect we'll be in a situation where inflation rises to troublesome levels." So it's pretty clear, at least according to Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, that a third stimulus check package is needed. It is needed quickly, and it needs to be very large, well, according to at least the Fed. Senator Sherrod Brown actually says that passing too little of stimulus actually risks long-term generational scarring. Now, some people that oppose the $15 an hour minimum wage increase say that, yeah, inflation might not be bad now from the stimulus packages because that doesn't really raise the cost of goods, but that the $15 an hour minimum wage would spur inflation, and pretty rapidly, because, well, that would directly increase the cost of some goods and services across the United States, because if employers have to pay more for their labor, then they will for sure have to raise prices of their goods and services because they have to pay more for labor. Senator Joe Manchin is proving to be a thorn in the side of Democrats in the Senate as he reiterates that he doesn't really like the $15 an hour minimum wage and actually just voted against the Democrats in a slightly unrelated matter. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin appears to have derailed President Joe Biden's nominee to head the White House Budget Office, Neera Tanden, by announcing that he would vote against her because of sharp criticisms she leveled on Twitter against Senate colleagues. In a 50-50 Senate, Tanden now needs the backing of at least one Republican, and perhaps more, which is very unlikely. Joe Manchin has also jeopardized Biden's plan to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour by announcing this month that he opposes such an increase. He suggested instead setting it at $11 an hour and indexing it to inflation. Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, however, is trying to hold the Democrats together in any way he can. He says, quote, "I made a pitch today to our entire Democratic caucus, and I said that we need to pass this bill. The American people, the American public demands it." He added, "Job number one is to pass the bill. Pass this bill we must, and I have confidence we will do it." However, Joe Manchin on Monday said he would attempt to amend Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus check package, which the House is scheduled to pass this week. However, Joe Manchin said he would attempt to amend President Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus package, which the House is scheduled to pass this week, to set the federal minimum wage at $11 an hour. He says, quote, $11 an hour is the right place to be. I'd amend it to $11 an hour. Ross Baker says, I talked to Harry Reid about him, and he said Joe Manchin was always a pain in the neck. Joe Manchin is in an awkward position. He's a Democrat from West Virginia, a state that backed Trump more heavily than any other state. Remember, they will need Joe Manchin's vote, along with every other Democrat in the Senate, to pass the bill in the Senate with the reconciliation process, where they need all 50 Democrats. What will happen is, and we've seen this in preliminary voting, all 50 Democrats say yes to the package, all 50 Republicans say no, then the tiebreaker goes to the Vice President of the United States, who was Kamala Harris. In preliminary voting, which was from passing the reconciliation portion, kind of some bylaws on the beginning part of the package. That's an additional process that's going on right now because we don't have any Republican support. If we had Republican support for this bill, they could have already passed this in the House and the Senate with a simple 60 majority vote in the Senate and already passed this and already had the money in your pockets. But there's no Republican support at all. We're not expected to get a single Republican vote in the House or the Senate for this package, so they have to go through this extra process. We're expecting the vote to happen in the House here very shortly, although Mitch McConnell, who's the former Senate Majority Leader, Senate Minority Leader, has some pretty harsh things to say.
Yesterday, I discussed the K12 crisis facing American families. The science shows that in-person schooling can easily be made safe. Private and religious schools and schools in Europe have been open for months. But Washington Democrats have apparently bought into Big Labor's myth that schools cannot reopen without even more federal funding, even though their own plan would only spend about 5% of the money this fiscal year. This is just one illustration of how Democrats started with preconceived ideological goals and actually worked backwards, instead of starting with the actual needs of American families. Let's take a look at the economy. When we had to stall our economy to protect our health system, the Senate wrote the bipartisan CARES Act, the biggest rescue package in American history. It spent $2.2 trillion to save the healthcare system, find vaccines, and support families. And we refilled many of those programs with another $920 billion just last December. Today, we stand at a very different kind of crossroads. More than 13% of Americans have received at least one dose of a vaccine. Manufacturers expect vaccine supply to keep ramping up dramatically in the weeks ahead. The trillions we spent on rescue policies in 2020 have the economy prepped to come roaring back as health conditions keep improving. Unemployment today is already lower than where, at one point in this crisis, the Federal Reserve predicted it would be by the end of the year. In some blue-collar sectors, both total employment and job openings are already higher than they were before the pandemic. Retail sales just smashed experts' predictions. Many manufacturers can't keep pace with demand. Remarkably, even as economic output obviously shrunk in 2020, overall household personal income and personal savings actually went up. That's because of the relief Congress delivered. There's no question that some American families are still struggling. Nobody thinks our health or economic fight is finished yet. But on a broad national scale, households are sitting on a historic pile of pent-up cash, waiting for the economy to reopen. The former head of the President Obama's Council of Economic Advisors says, quote, "We have no historic parallel with anything like this level of excess savings." He says, "We've never seen this much dry powder. Even mainstream liberal economists agree that our country does not need another massive fire hose of borrowed money. This is not April of 2020. This is a different chapter. Washington should focus on practical policies to finish the fight, accelerate vaccinations, get kids back in school, help the families and small businesses that actually need help, and get laid-off Americans matched with job openings ASAP. Unfortunately, the Democrats' partisan proposal would not just be wasteful, but in certain ways actually counterproductive. It would have Washington go out of our way to discourage hiring, discourage a return to work, and actually keep things shut down longer. Take the minimum wage policy. The CBO says this abrupt one-size-fits-all change would kill about 1.5 times as many jobs as the number of workers it would lift out of poverty. Or take their proposal for another long-term extension of a big federal supplement to unemployment benefits. Even in the middle of last year, it was questionable policy to pay people more to stay home than essential workers were earning while actually on the job. Now, another long-term flat supplement would make even less sense. Here's how one leading economist puts it. In an expanding economy that is putting the virus behind it, paying people more in unemployment than they could receive from working is an act of substantial economic self-harm. It would keep workers on the sidelines, stop the unemployment rate from falling as rapidly as it would otherwise, and slow the overall recovery, end quote. Then there's the $350 billion bailout for state and local governments, many of whom have already seen revenues and receipts rebound. It's several multiples of any sober estimate of the actual need. Apparently, even senators on the Democratic side are trying to pare back this absurd request. Just one more way this proposal seems to be stuck back in April of last year. I haven't even talked about the hundreds of millions of dollars for pet projects without a shred of relevance to the pandemic or the recovery. Money for, quote, climate justice, end quote.
So I can agree with Mitch McConnell there. And again, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, because I never always see Republican, I never always see Democrat. There's a lot of things I disagree with from both sides. And quite frankly, I disagree with Congress a lot of times in general, a lot. But there is one thing I can agree with Mitch McConnell is that there is a lot of money still left over from previous packages. But what he doesn't realize, or he doesn't want to mention, or just want to selectively mention some things, is that the stimulus checks and the money for American people is all gone. Okay, so it's very different saying, okay, there's a lot of $1 billion left for schools, and they want to give another $100 billion for schools when school money is still sitting there available. But when we're talking about like American people money, stimulus checks, $1,400, mortgage and rental assistance, property tax assistance, utility assistance, money for SNAP, WIC, and EBT, the child stimulus checks, all that money is not just sitting there available. Okay, so that's where I kind of think the disconnect is. Yes, there might be a lot of money available for schools and different programs, and of course, there's some unrelated programs in the third stimulus check package, just like there was in the second one, and there will be in other bills coming out in the future. But I think the main core here of what you guys are focused on is the money for us, the money for American people, the money to help you pay your food, to help you pay your rent, the $1,400 checks, the child tax credit increase checks, which are $3,000, $3,600. Money for SNAP, WIC, and EBT programs, money for mortgage and rental assistance, property tax assistance. That money is all gone. Okay, people got their $600 stimulus checks, and the money was gone relatively quickly. Some people would say right away. They paid their rent, and poof, it was gone. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there from what I see from the Republican point of view, is that the money for the American people to help them through the pandemic. Remember, America is made from Americans, made from people like me and you watching this channel, is that they're the ones that need money. Okay. They're the ones that are struggling, right? So maybe they should take some of this other money out, billions and billions of dollars for this, that, and who knows what. And, his uncle and her auntie, all these programs that don't mean anything, and give more money to the people, right? Maybe we should start to set up $1,400 checks monthly. We've seen proposals from the Democrat side for $2,000 stimulus checks monthly. But of course, well, we know Republicans would hate that too. So maybe they need to take some of the money out from all these other bloated programs and not spend more money, but just take some of that money and shift it over to the American people for you guys to pay rent, pay mortgage, pay for food, get us through this once in 100-year pandemic that has kind of, hit us all really hard. I mean, we don't really see us going back to normal for a while. Although I do find it interesting, like I see some of my friends in Florida. Man, every time I see a picture of people in Florida, there's not a single mask being worn anywhere. My buddy posted a picture at the gym. There's like 100 people in the gym there, all inside in one room, not a single mask. And then I seen a buddy of mine at a car show, and nobody's wearing a mask in Florida. But like here in Ohio, it's so different. Like you go to the grocery store, every person has a mask on, and it's just like everybody is social distancing and wearing a mask. If you go to a grocery store here in Northeast Ohio, where I am, and you don't have a mask on, people look at you like you're a leper, and it's like you're like the odd man out. It's so different parts of the country, like I said, Florida versus Ohio. Let me know how it is where you are, because here where I am, if you go indoors, everybody is wearing a mask, and we have a Republican governor, Governor Mike DeWine. He's Republican, but I wouldn't say he's far right Republican. I would consider him more in the middle, like we are. Like I personally think that masks are a good thing. Yeah, they're an inconvenience, but I'd rather not see more people die if they have any chance at all of help preventing to spread the disease. And like my mom's in her 70s, my dad's in her 70s, Laurel's parents are also up there, and it's like I don't want to get the virus and spread it to them. And plus I have asthma, and I have health issues, and nobody wants to get the virus. I don't want to get the virus, so I wear a mask, just because even if it gives me a 25% chance of not catching it, hey, that's okay. I'll do it for an inconvenience. Hopefully we don't have to do it forever, but hopefully by the end of the year it's gone. By the way, let me update you guys on my health. Got my tooth fixed today. If you didn't know, I broke my tooth last night on my 40th birthday dinner. Literally right into 2 minutes into dinner, eating a crunchy piece of bread, and my tooth shattered. Well, apparently it was actually the filling that shattered and or fell out. So, and it left like a 90-degree jagged edge, like poking into my cheek there. That was the kind of the worst part. I had to put like some like denture putty or something I bought from the store on there to prevent it from poking me. Well, my dentist fixed it. My dentist is Dr. Cook in Beechwood, Ohio. So very hats off to him. But he did say it's a short tooth up there. It has not come out of the gum much. It's my very last tooth, and on both sides of my gum, they don't come out that much because it's the very last tooth. And he said if I have any more issues with that, I'm probably going to have the tooth pulled, because it barely even sticks out of the gum by like a half an inch probably. But nonetheless, he fixed my tooth. I didn't have to lose it. So yeah, that's been good. However, the steroids I was taking for my back, I've got off those now for 5 days, and I have literally been dizzy for 5 days straight. I am literally dizzy sitting here talking to you guys. It's not as bad as it was like the last day or two I was on it, and the first day I was off, it was like, oh my God, it was so bad, but I'm still dizzy today. So I have put a call into my doctor, and they're going to call me tomorrow, do like a Zoom conference with me or something like that. But yeah, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Or I've seen a comment from somebody in the comments: when life gives you lemons, throw it back at them. So, but you know what? You got to think positive. You always got to. I could be sitting here moping around about it, and crying in my own soup, and just I hate the world. The world hates me. But I prefer to look at things the positive way and give a positive attitude off to you guys, who I consider our extended family. So that's the update on me. Hope that helps out a little bit. They're expected to vote on the third stimulus check package here within the next 48 hours. Yeah. in the House of Representatives. So I will keep you updated. Make sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live. I will keep you updated. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video is a program I have where I teach people how to start their own business selling products on Amazon. You can click that to learn about that, or my newest stimulus check video here. Click on one of those to watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.